Welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
I'm husband.
And I'm wife.
Together, we're reading the Bible for the very first time.
We grew up without religion and wanted to know what all the fuss was about.
Well, what have we learned so far?
That God is a dick, and apparently some people believe in talking donkeys?
We're not trying to pass ourselves off as experts.
Nope, we're just reading the Bible for the first time and giving our first take reaction.
If you'd like to join us in this venture, you might consider starting at episode 1.
Otherwise, jump in wherever you like.
All right, let's go read the Bible.
Yeah, let's get to it. Husband!
Wife!
Do you remember what happened yesterday and where the hell we are today?
Well, yesterday we read Ezekiel Chapter 19.
We sure as fuck did.
And it was a lament.
It was.
And we're gonna make sure we tell people that it's a lament, because it's a lament.
The last line was, make sure you know that this is a lament and use it as a lament.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do when there's a lamentation.
Right. And there was lions in it.
Lamenting lions. Lions who lament.
Yes. And I think they also covered vines again or something too.
Yeah.
There was vines in there. So vines, lions, and it was a lament.
Lions and vines and laments. Oh my. Yeah.
Yeah. It is what it was, you know?
It is what it was.
Yeah. So that was Ezekiel chapter 19.
Yes.
And obviously we've decided to do our regular run today. We're going to do an episode. But before we get into saying which episode we're doing, which yes. I'm sure you've all guessed by now which one it is we're doing.
It's the next one.
But it's the next one, yeah.
Yeah.
But before we do that, we've got a special shout out to do today.
Ooh.
And no one really knows that we're doing this. So, this is just going to be a surprise. And hopefully those who listen regularly, which I think a lot of these people do, will get to hear this. So, as many of you know, we're in the midst of a drive on Patreon to reach a $400 per month level. And I wanted to take a minute to shout out some of our all-time top contribers.
Oh, okay.
These folks have really, they're making this easier for you all to have a wonderful podcast that is here and doing the things that we're doing. So
you should give them a big applaud. Yeah.
So everybody that I'm going to list off here over the lifetime of their membership has given over $150 to our podcast.
Holy moly.
Yes. So number one on the list is Natalie.
Aw, thank you, Natalie.
Thank you, Natalie. Natalie, also we know her as Witch of Endor.
Which is so appropriate.
So great. When she decided to change her name to that, it was that was fantastic, because we had just covered Witch of Endor and it was so great. So that was awesome. The next person on the list is Lindsay D.
Lindsay, thank you.
Yep. And Lindsay, I remember she reached out to me on Twitter, and she was doing a side-by-side Bible study with another Christian Bible study, and she really appreciated what we were doing. So I really appreciate what you've done for us. So thank you so much, Lindsay.
Thank you.
Next on the list is Conrad D.
Conrad, special place in my heart.
Conrad actually came down to visit us at a live event that we had.
He drove from Michigan to Ohio.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And we still have a picture of Conrad right by our podcasting area. Yeah.
Yes, so thank you, Conrad.
Thank you, Conrad. Next on our list is Dion.
Dion!
We love Dion.
We don't see enough of Dion.
No, Dion, he was popping up on Discord quite a bit. We haven't seen him around quite as much. So we'd love to see you around more, Dion.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for everything you've done for us. It's been fantastic.
Yes.
And by the way, I'm listing these from lowest amount to highest amount. So our number one contributor, coming in at $375 so far to date, is Douglas T.
Douglas, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Douglas is on Facebook mostly, so I see them on there. They've also popped onto Discord, so we've had quite a few conversations over time. And
I have not exchanged
commentary. I told you
Douglas.
Need to get on Discord more. So
I do, and I apologize. I will do that.
Right.
I feel like I owe you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So those are our top contributors all time. And I just wanted to take a moment to thank you guys profusely for what you have done for our podcast.
Thank you so much. From the bottom of our hearts.
Absolutely amazing.
Yes.
So.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. that being said, we just got done yesterday reading Ezekiel chapter 19. And today we're going to be getting into
Ezekiel Chapter 20.
All right, let's do this.
Okie dokie. All right, we are hopping into Ezekiel, or as I like to call him, Ezekiel, chapter 20.
That is correct.
And we're going to start off with a date. Hang with me. I will give you what that date is.
Okay. All right.
In the 7th year, in the 5th month, on the 10th day, some of the elders of Israel came to inquire of the Lord, and those fuckers sat down in front of me.
Ezekiel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me, Ezekiel.
It seems like they do this a lot.
They do. Let's see. That date is scroll. It is somewhere in July or August of 591 BCE.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yep.
So just to...
So like 6 years after the second round of exiles.
I could not tell you because I don't retain dates.
597 was the first exile, or the second exile.
Okay. I will take your word for it.
Yep.
Then the word of the Lord came to me.
Okay. Yeah.
So while these fuckers are like, what is God
But is he going to float off to Jerusalem this time, or is he going to stay put?
God's going to go off.
Oh.
According to the notes that I
see.
I read.
That should be fun.
Son of man.
Yeah, mere human.
You worm. Speak to the elders of Israel and say to them fuckers, this is what the sovereign Lord says.
Okay.
Have you come to inquire of me? As surely as I live, I will not let you inquire of me, declares the sovereign Lord.
Okay. Why?
Will you judge them? Will you judge them, son of man? You mere human.
Will you judge them, son of man?
You fucking worm.
Okay.
Then confront them with the detestable practices of their ancestors and say to them, he's like, can you even believe of the nerve of these motherfuckers right here?
Yeah.
Coming and asking me stupid questions.
Right. Because y'all are, you aren't going to confront, like he's talking to them because they're other prophet-y type people, I guess.
Right.
Or something.
They're just the elders.
And he's like, you won't even confront the people that have fucked up so much over the, all the time. They're fucking up all the time.
Yeah. He's like, are you talking to me? Really? For real? Are you sure?
Right.
Why? So he's going to tell Ezekiel, tell them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. On the day I chose... Oh, he's about to give a laundry list.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
On the day I chose Israel. So this is like, forever ago.
Yeah.
I swore with uplifted hand to the descendants of Jacob and revealed myself to them in Egypt. With uplifted hand, I said to them, I'm the Lord your God. Hey, what's up? On that day, I swore to them that I would bring them out of Egypt into a land I had searched out for them, a land flowing with milk and honey, the most beautiful of all lands.
Except for that we know now that probably never happened.
Well, and if you're God, why did you have to search?
Right.
Did you have to invent a GPS for yourself?
From what I've gathered, though, on a GPS, walking distance to the promised land from Egypt was like a 5 or 6 day trip.
Right, not 40 years.
Not 40 years.
Yeah.
So I feel like
you're wrong and you're lying.
Right.
And you're bad and you wrote shit down that...
You're just trying to come up... Like, this is just a story about a quote-unquote epic journey, and you guys knew about, 500 square miles of land, so you're like, how do we make this into 40 years?
Yeah, exactly.
So apparently you just wandered around back and forth and,
Except they didn't. Whatever.
No, right, yeah.
And I said to them, I said, each of you get rid of the vile images you have set your eyes on, and do not defile yourselves with the idols of Egypt. I'm the Lord your God. But you know what those fuckers did?
They defiled themselves with the idols.
Yeah. They rebelled against me and would not listen to me. They did not get rid of the vile images they had set their eyes on, nor did they forsake the idols of Egypt. I mean, can you even?
Right? The idols of Egypt were pretty cool.
I can't believe those guys did not give those up, though. I mean, OMG.
Listen, I mean, I've seen some of the shit, like the art of old gods that comes out of Egypt, and I'm like, that shit's pretty cool.
I would have probably had some, you know what? If I had more money, I would order me some of those
right?
idols of Egypt.
Yeah, they definitely, like, when it comes down to cool factor, Egypt's got it. You know,
they
like
do.
they've got
Their
it going
idols
on.
rock the house.
Hell yeah, they do.
Yeah. So I said, me, God, I would pour out my wrath on them and spend my anger against them in Egypt. But for the sake of my name, I brought them out of Egypt.
I was going to kill them then, but, you know.
But remember, Moses pointed out, that'll make you look real bad.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I decided, all right, I'll chillax.
But I mean, like, he did kill a bunch of them at the mountain there when Moses went up and then came back down and they were making golden idols or whatever.
Yeah.
He killed like 3,000 people there.
Yeah.
So.
I did
right after he got done telling them not
killing.
to murder.
Yeah. It's fine when God does it.
Right. Well, yeah, he didn't even do it, though. He had them do it.
Yeah.
So, like, he literally had the people he told just then not to murder. He had them murder.
Don't murder, except for those guys over there.
Right.
The ones with the gold in their hands.
Yeah.
I did it to keep my name from being profaned in the eyes of the nations among whom they lived, and in whose sight I had revealed myself to the Israelites. He's like, I didn't want Egypt to look at me like I was bad. Or whatever.
At least that message is consistent.
Yeah.
Because that is the same message they said back then.
It is, but it's like, you're God. Why the fuck you worrying what these Egyptians think of you?
Your God is worried about his fucking, he's vain.
Wait.
He's worried about his image.
These big-dicked Egyptians, sorry. Damn, I wish I'd said it right the first time.
Yeah, no, I know.
Therefore, I, the vainglorious asshole that I am, led them out of Egypt and brought them into the wilderness. You know, the wilderness.
Yep.
I gave them my decrees and made known to them my laws, by which the person who obeys them will live. Mm-hmm. If you don't obey them, I guess what? You die? Sometimes.
Well, yeah, like back then, he was definitely killing people that didn't obey him.
Sure.
Like, there was a lot more just, like, instant death
willy-nilly
for, breaking laws. Yeah.
It's a drive-by smiting. Also, I gave them my Sabbaths as a sign between us, so they would know that I, the Lord, made them holy. That's why you get a day off.
Oh, okay.
Because God is
that
holy.
You can know that God is holy?
Yeah. So you can spend the whole day not washing laundry, not cooking dinner. You spend the whole day fearing the Lord.
Yeah.
Get on your knees the whole day.
Yeah.
Suck this dick. All day. Yet, the people of Israel rebelled against me in the wilderness. Can you even believe that shit?
I mean, I can, actually, yeah.
I mean, they sometimes were some whiny fucks, but...
This has been a consistent theme throughout the Old Testament. They constantly are rebelling, which I don't even argue with them on. I'm like, yeah, dude hasn't really presented himself.
But honestly, and then God fucking pummeled them with birds. That was not cool.
Yeah, that wasn't cool.
Smooth move, God. They did not follow my decrees, but rejected my laws, by which the person who obeys them will live. You know, those laws that I just said?
The one, yeah.
And they utterly desecrated my Sabbaths. Those bitches.
Yeah, they picked up sticks one time, I think.
Yeah. That was
bad.
Aaron's kids or something.
No, that was just some random dude that died.
Oh, well.
Yeah, no, Aaron's kids lit the wrong incense.
Oh, yeah. I always forget that.
Yeah.
So I said I would pour out my wrath on them and destroy them in the wilderness.
Uh-huh.
But again, for the sake of my name, I did what would keep it from being profaned in the eyes of the nations in whose sight I had brought them out.
I don't have a lot of respect for a God that is worried about his image.
Me neither.
Like, if that's what you're all about image, man. Like, you care what people think of you, and if they don't think the right things, then you kill them. But you're also worried about what other people think of you who aren't your people.
Right.
And because of that, you don't kill people.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to killing people at some level.
Will I or won't I kill people? And who is the one doing the thinking about me?
Right, yeah. And whoever you want to impress that day apparently determines who you're going to kill.
Right.
So
uncool.
Right?
Also, FYI, with uplifted hand, I swore to them in the wilderness that I would not bring them into the land I had given them, a land flowing with milk and honey, the most beautiful of all lands.
Mm-hmm.
Because they rejected my laws and did not follow my decrees and desecrated my motherfucking Sabbaths.
Which is why they had to wander around for 40 years. Yeah.
For their hearts were devoted to their idols, the ones they carried in their pockets or whatever.
I mean, he says that, but what was the killing of the 3,000 people when Moses came down from the mountain? You know, like that was supposedly ridding them of the unholy, idol worshiping people. We've rid these people. We've been rid of these people so many times. I've lost track.
It's almost like you can't kill an idea.
Right.
I recently just heard that in like a show and throughout literature forever.
Well, yeah. And moreover, though, like we don't, this is the God is more about fear. Like this is more about, they don't actually respect or worship God so much as they fear the repercussions of what happens when God is angry. Right?
Yeah.
Which is also the same fear that they have of the other gods that they worship as well. Mm-hmm. They just serve different purposes in their lives.
Right.
And so there's nothing special about Yahweh to these people because they obviously never chose him to be the single one monotheistic God for, thousands of years.
Right. Right.
So it's an ongoing problem because he can't solidify his base.
He can't solidify his base, and he's also like always off message. Yeah. It's almost like he's like a Trump that can fly.
Right. Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yet I looked on them with pity and did not destroy them or put an end to them in the wilderness. I mean, pretty much because if I killed them, then who was going to pray to me or whatever?
Yeah.
I said to their children in the wilderness, do not follow the statutes of your parents or keep their laws or defile yourselves with their idols. Except that I told the children, don't obey your parents, but you're supposed to obey your parents as one of the fucking commandments.
Yeah.
That's always like gray area. Like, when's it okay?
Right. Yeah.
I am the Lord your God. Follow my decrees and be careful to keep my laws. Keep my Sabbaths holy, that they may be a sign between us. Then you will know that I'm the Lord your God. That's how you'll know.
Okay.
That's how you know he loves you. But the children, those fuckers, rebelled against me. They did not follow my decrees. They were not careful to keep my laws, of which I said, the person who obeys them will live by them. And they desecrated my fucking Sabbaths. They're always desecrating your fucking Sabbaths.
Yeah.
So I said I would pour out my wrath on them and spend my anger against them in the wilderness.
Yes.
But I withheld my hand, and for the sake of my name, I did what would keep it from being profaned in the eyes of the nation in whose sight I had brought them out.
Okay.
So he keeps worrying about...
He's worried about his image and other people's views. Okay.
He's like, I'm always scared the Egyptians are going to think that I'm shitty and mean.
Right.
And I don't want them to think that
Or moreover, that he can't control his own people.
Right. Like, ugh, some god.
Right.
You can't control your people, and you're so mean and evil that you killed them all.
Right.
Wow. You suck.
What would have happened if God would have killed all of his people?
I wonder about that, right? Like, he would have died out. I guess.
Yeah. He wouldn't be, there would be no people for him to have, right? So just that God, Yahweh, would just not exist.
Right.
Because...
What, would he have to choose a new one or something?
Right. Yeah, like, it's just not, it's not gonna happen without him having some people.
Right.
So...
I mean, that's really why you didn't kill him.
Right.
You needed somebody to yell at.
Because there was plenty of gods before the Israelites, right?
Yep.
So,
I mean, that's what they're in trouble for.
He didn't exist then.
Right.
And he only existed since then. So something happened, and then he was written into existence by man, and now, And
he refuses to go away. OMG. Also, with uplifted hand, I swore to them in the wilderness that I would disperse them among the nations and scatter, smother, cover them with the countries.
Yeah.
Okay, just scatter them.
Right, yeah.
Because they had not obeyed my laws, but had rejected my decrees and desecrated my Sabbaths, and their eyes lusted after their parents' idols. Ugh.
Okay.
So I gave them other statutes that were not good, and laws which they could not live. I defiled them through their gifts, the sacrifice of every firstborn, that I might fill them with horror, so they would know that I am the Lord.
Wait,
He's saying...
He gave them idols?
Apparently. I think what that means is that he allowed them to go about their business and be gross.
Okay.
And he's like, fine, fuck yourselves. I don't care.
Got it.
And so he's twisting like what they were already doing into
he allowed it
I allowed it to happen.
Okay.
And
All
it's
right.
like, no, they were already. You just got through complaining about how they were already.
Yeah.
You don't get to take credit for that after.
Well, I mean, they're writing him as a god who knows everything, so they have to kind of make him seem like he's in charge, even though he's not. So
okay, but still, he's like, fine, be bad. You keep being bad all the time. You're always bad. You keep being bad. Fine, be bad. Just keep being bad. I'm letting you be bad. See how I let you be bad? And
right.
I'm like, you didn't let them. You were pissed about it. They were already being bad.
Right.
Like, retroactive, but I let that happen.
Yeah.
Then why were you pissed?
Right.
Like, stop, you weirdo. Therefore, son of man,
you mere human,
you fucking worm, speak to the people of Israel and say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. In this also your ancestors blasphemed me by being unfaithful to me, those cheaters.
Okay.
When I brought them into the land I had sworn to give them, and they saw any high hill or any leafy tree, there they offered their sacrifices, made offerings that aroused my anger, presented their fragrant incense, and poured out their drink offerings. Now, in other translations, it's not just offered their sacrifices, it's offered their children as sacrifices.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So they were doing the local child sacrifice thing, which, again, I'm very not okay with.
Right.
Regardless of your fucking religion, you dum-dums.
Yeah.
Don't eat the babies.
Right.
Then I said to them, what's this high place you go to? It is called Bama to this day. And I have a thing about that.
But before you get into the thing about that, I do have to say this real quick, too.
Yeah.
Child sacrifice is not like just worshiping an idol. You're sacrificing a fucking child.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you are sacrificing a child, and again, we don't condone it in any way whatsoever.
Right.
It is not a good thing. But you have to believe pretty strongly in what you're doing.
That is a God you fear.
Right?
You are fearing the fuck out of that God.
Yeah.
If you are sacrificing your child to that God.
Yeah. So, I mean, all I'm getting at is that these people obviously didn't have as much fear of God as they did of some other gods, or at least if they did have as much fear, it was definitely equal fear and not like one is better or bigger than the other, Right. So that's a large step to take for something that you just kind of idly worship.
Yeah.
And this was strong beliefs.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't just like willy-nilly kill babies.
Right. Right.
Ugh. So, Bama.
Yeah, Bama.
He's like, it's called Bama to this day, those high places.
Yeah.
Bama means high place.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Those high places, to this day, they're called high places.
Right.
Are they? Okay.
Because they're still high.
Them high places, they are so high. They are the highest of all the high places.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck? Mm-hmm. Therefore, say to the Israelite, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Will you defile yourselves the way your ancestors did and lust after their vile images? Ugh.
I think the answer is yes. Yes, they will.
Yes, they will. When you offer your gifts, the sacrifice of your children in the fire, you continue to defile yourselves with all your idols to this day.
To this day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Am I to let you inquire of me, you Israelites? He's like, you guys killed kids and prayed to these other statues and fucked around on Sundays. And you think you're coming to ask me a question? Are you serious right now? Well,
I mean, I suppose they wouldn't really have to ask. Let's be honest here. They're asking Ezekiel. Like, they wouldn't have to ask Ezekiel a question if you just fucking talk to them.
Exactly.
And probably these people wouldn't be doing this shit if you just fucking talk to them.
Right, exactly.
But he's not.
So they are.
So they are, right.
Yeah. As surely as I live, declares the sovereign Lord, I will not let you inquire of me. What are you going to sew their mouths shut, like Beetlejuice style?
Right.
Like, no, they are inquiring of you.
And can you imagine sitting there while some dude is just telling you, you will not do this to, like, he's literally reiterating
talk to the hand. This God wants nothing to do with you. And like, he's like snapping his fingers and like wigging his head back and forth. Like, did you even?
Right. And I'd be like, dude, who the fuck do you think you are?
Right. You better get your fucking pointy finger out of my goddamn face before I bite it off. You say, we want to be like the nations, like the peoples of the world who serve wood and stone. But what you have in mind will never fucking happen.
No.
Except it has and it does.
Yeah.
It has and it did and it does.
Right. I bet there was a lot of people. There was it said 1 million Jewish folks that lived in Israel at the end of the Egypt. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
At the end of the Babylonian exile or whatever. Like, I bet some of those people stayed Egyptian. You know, like fuck this shit.
Fuck this shit.
I'm staying
out.
here.
Yep. As surely as I live, declares the sovereign Lord, I will reign over you with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm and with outpoured wrath.
Okay.
I'm going to hate you.
Right.
Me hate you long time. I will bring you from the nations and gather you from the countries where you have been scattered with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm and with outpoured wrath. I will bring you into the wilderness of the nations, and there, face to face, I will execute judgment upon you.
Oh.
I'm like, face to face, huh?
Well,
I fucking dare you. Do it.
He hasn't done the face-to-face thing yet.
Right.
But he's going to wait until he's punishing them to do the face-to-face, apparently. At least according to that.
That's to come.
Right.
He's saying I'll do this someday.
Okay.
Someday I'm going to see you face to face and I'm going to kick the shit out of you.
But hypothetically, right, we're talking about the Babylonian exile, right? The last step of the Babylonian exile.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this prophecy is hypothetically pointing toward,
he's saying I'm going to scatter you, but then he's also saying, but one of these days I'm going to scoop you all up.
Right, yeah.
And I'm going to see you face to face.
But even the saying that he's going to see him face to face is not true either. He's using Babylon as a tool.
Yeah.
And so he's sending another army after his people. There is no face to face. It's fucking war.
Right. As I judged your ancestors in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so I will judge you, declares the sovereign Lord. I will take note of you as you pass under my rod. Yeah, I will. And I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. So they're going to touch each other's balls and make promises.
Right, yeah.
That's what God really wants.
After they pass under his rod.
They're going to pass under his rod, and he's going to be like, while you're down there, touch my balls, touch my balls. Fear the Lord, touch my balls. I will purge you of those who revolt and rebel against me. Will you, though? I feel like you won't.
I feel like you won't either, yeah. Right.
And you haven't.
Right.
And supposedly you could.
But you won't.
Right. Although I will bring them out of the land where they are living, yet they will not enter the land of Israel. Then you will know that I am the Lord.
Okay. Okay.
As for you, people of Israel, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Go and serve your idols, every one of you. But afterward, you will surely listen to me and no longer profane my holy name with your gifts and idols. From my holy mountain, the high mountain of Israel, declares the sovereign Lord, there in the land of all the people of Israel will serve me, and there I will accept them.
So go worship your shit, but then you'll stop, and then you're going to worship him on the holy high mountain.
But just the one.
Just the one.
Not the other.
Not the other high
ones.
places.
Not the Bamas, just the Bama.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Okay.
There I will require your offerings and your choice gifts along with all your holy sacrifices, but not your kids.
Right.
Except that one time that I wanted, what's his name, Jacob maybe, to sacrifice Israel, but then I decided, or Isaac.
Right.
But then I was like, just kidding. You don't have to kill him.
It was Abraham.
That's what I said.
No, it wasn't.
I know.
Yeah.
I will accept you as fragrant incense when I bring you out from the nations and gather you from the countries where you've been scattered, and I will be proved holy through you in the sight of the nations. So he's like, oh, then everybody will think I'm awesome in all those other places that I shouldn't give a shit about.
Right.
Because they're not my people, but obviously I do. I can't wait till those other places that aren't my people.
Because it's all about image.
Worship me. Yeah.
You aren't anything if your enemies don't think well of you.
Yeah, I guess. Then you will know that I am the Lord When I
Okay.
bring you into the land of Israel, the land I had sworn with uplifted hand to give to your ancestors,
Yeah.
there you will remember your conduct and all the actions by which you have defiled yourselves, and you will loathe yourselves for all the evil you have done.
Okay.
You will know that I am the motherfucking Lord when I deal with you for my name's sake and not according to your evil ways and your corrupt practices, you people of Israel, declares the sovereign Lord. That's pretty great stuff, right?
That's pretty great.
All right,
yeah.
so now we have another 5 verses that, according to everything that I've read, should actually belong to the next chapter.
Okay.
Because that's what it has to do with. So that is kind of like the end.
Got it.
Except that then we're like,
now we're moving into something else, but not.
But it's still in
relevant
this
to what we
chapter.
just talked about.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So, anyways, ... later.
Yeah.
The word of the Lord came to me. And I'm
Again,
like, did it?
Right.
Did
yeah.
it?
Mm-hmm.
Son of man,
You mere human.
you fucking worm.
Yeah.
Set your face toward the south. Preach against the south and prophecy against the forest of the southland. Say to the southern forest, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says. I'm about to set fire to you. Whee!
Oh.
And it will consume all your trees, both green and dry. The blazing flame will not be quenched, and every fucking face from south to north will be scorched by it.
What is this south shit?
I don't know, but I'm gonna kill all of you because killing is awesome.
But like,
because
is south like the Edomites and the like the people that were like across the Jordan River? Is that who the south is referencing?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
but it's some other conquering people, tribes or whatever.
Well, but it sounds like he's prophesying against Jerusalem here, like, or against the Israelites.
Yeah.
Not like this doesn't sound like he's talking about foreign lands. It feels like he's talking about Israelites.
Yeah, and he's saying people from the south are going to come get you.
That's not what it sounded like to me.
Oh, wait, hold on. Set your face toward the south, preach against the south, and prophecy against the forest of the southland.
Right. So it sounds like he's saying, because he said the forest is going to catch on fire and blah, 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 you know.
Oh, because Israel is south of all of the, like, Babylon and all
right,
that.
but it's just the first time I've heard him reference it as the South. Like,
you're
that's
the South.
a weird way to say it.
You're so South, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I guess the reason I ask is because it sounds like he maybe is talking about a different people. Like, the people who were part of Israel originally. I see
what you're saying.
But now are no longer. I can't remember what all the different tribes were, but, you know, the
10
ones...
lost tribes of Israel or whatever.
But the ones that were specifically across the Jordan, right?
Right,
like they were south of the rest of Israel there.
Yeah, I don't know, really, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so whatever, he's saying that I'm gonna burn your shit.
Okay.
Everyone will see that I, the Lord, have kindled it. That's the important part.
Okay, all right.
It will not be quenched. Then I, Ezekiel, said, Sovereign Lord, they are saying of me, isn't he just telling parables? The end.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Like God, Ezekiel, hey dude, he says he's gonna kill everybody.
Is he?
But isn't that just like it's kind of like a joke, right?
It's
kind of that's fake.
He's just a hyperbole,
right? Yeah, he's stretching the truth a bit, you know, maybe
exaggeration.
I don't know. Is that what's going on here?
Like overkill. Like he's just mad, right? Like
right, yeah.
You know, kind of like when I get mad and I'm like, oh, I'm going to kill you. Like, I'm not really going to kill you, right? Like, I'm not actually going to set fire to, you know, your house or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess.
Because it probably continues on in the next chapter, right?
I would think that the answer to that question, is he joking?
Well, one of the questions I would like an answer to is the reference to the South.
Who is the South?
Yeah, because I am curious about that. So,
Who they?
That being said, that was Ezekiel chapter 20.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, no, I'm holding on. I'm holding on.
I thought I might have hit it in some of my notes. So let me read this and see if this answers your question.
Okay, all right, yeah.
The last 5 verses ought to begin the next chapter as they are connected with the subject of that chapter being a prophecy against Jerusalem, which lay to the south of Chaldea, where the prophet then was, and which here and elsewhere is represented under the emblem of a forest doomed to be destroyed by fire.
I see. So he's talking about the south from the vantage point of being in the north, because he was already taken away to the north.
Yes.
Got it. So, that makes sense. But
yeah.
it was a weird reference.
It was a weird way of phrasing it that we haven't seen before.
Yeah. And you and I talked about this. I don't know if it was on the podcast or if it was like just outside on our own, but we were talking about how the writing style seems to be all over the place with Ezekiel.
Yeah, we were outside talking about this. This was not on the podcast.
Right.
Yes, I cannot get a grip on who actually wrote this, because it seems like a different person stepped in every chapter.
Right.
And it's weird. It is
really weird. And I don't like of the research that you did before we started this book, it seemed like everybody is like, yeah, Ezekiel kind of maybe sort of wrote it.
Right.
But there's not really any more like info that we had beyond that. It was just like, yeah, probably Ezekiel wrote it, but maybe not, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, and I think it did say that there were a lot of editors that came along later and did redactions and additions.
But it feels pretty significant, the amount of differences in this book.
And, like, they didn't even try to stick with one style. That's the part that's weird.
Right.
Like, did you even try to sound like Ezekiel?
Yeah.
Like, I believe you that he wrote the first couple chapters with all his crazy wiggy dreams.
Right.
Like that. Okay. Yeah, he probably wrote that.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that material is what's missing from these chapters.
Right.
We don't need wheels with eyes in every chapter.
But the style of writing.
The voice, the tone.
With Jeremiah, right? Like until we got to the end of that book, there was a pretty consistent sound, pretty consistent style of writing that was happening, at least in chunks of the book.
Him and his scribe, you could tell, Baruch,
yeah.
So you could tell that they tried really hard to just stay on target, you know?
That felt like one or two writers, right?
Yeah.
But I can't get a grasp on, like, what's going on from one chapter to the next in this one, because it's completely different.
And it's not just that the tone is different, like the subject matter seems different. Like sometimes it's like, in the beginning he's like giving his dream of weirdness, right?
Yeah.
And then suddenly we're like in fucking Deuteronomy, fire and brimstone, fuck everybody, kill them, die. And it's like, whoa, guy, where did this shit come from?
And then we're talking about fucking lions and vines.
Right. And then there's like an entire rewriting of the rules.
Yeah.
Like, oh, and by the way, we're not going to do the sins of the fathers thing, on the sons.
I was thinking about that, actually. The entire concept of what he laid forth there almost negates the idea of having to have Jesus come down and die for people's sins. If you don't have to suffer for the sins of your father, like, you just have to ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
That's essentially the same thing that happens when Jesus comes.
Yeah.
So what's the point of killing his only son or whatever?
Yeah.
To do the same thing that Ezekiel said God said is already happening.
Right. Exactly.
It negates the whole purpose of Jesus.
It really does.
Which is crazy. I mean, that's just insane.
Yeah.
So
that's a really good insight, because you're absolutely 100% right. Like, I'm sorry, why Jesus again now?
Yeah. I mean, if we're taking this at its word, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So that really bothered me, and it was something that I kind of have been thinking about over the last couple of days.
It's almost like the more that we read about Judaism, the more unnecessary and stupid Christianity becomes.
Right.
Because Judaism, which is like the root of it, is kind of crazy enough and stupid enough on its own, and has it already set up.
Well, yeah, and that's, I mean, what we're finding out by reading the Old Testament, and I'm so happy we're doing this.
Same.
Is that the New Testament, what I do know of it, many of the concepts are stolen directly from the Old Testament, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
And again, I haven't ever read the New Testament. I don't know anything specifically about it, but the tenets of what we're covering here seem to be the same things that are in the New Testament.
Well, that, and something that has been kind of coming to my mind as we've been reading this, like, Judaism is like, it feels from not the beginning of time, but like it took all of the early stories and like kind of tied them into one, right?
Yeah.
And so that feels super old and ancient,
Yes,
right?
it does.
But then Christianity, because we know that, you know, Jesus dies, the Romans and the Jews there kill him, or what the fuck ever happens. Right. I don't know. It feels like it's such a newer religion, even though it's still hundreds of years ago.
Right.
It feels thousands, but still, it feels so new comparatively speaking.
Right.
Like to me, it's the same comparison on a geographic scale when we're talking about America versus Europe.
Yeah.
Like Europe is ancient.
Right.
So fucking old, right?
Yeah.
And then America's like, hi. And I'm like, you're a baby. You haven't even been here. You're still in diapers. You can't even get your, like, that's why I've always been disinterested somewhat in American history, because it's like, who even cares? It's so new.
Right.
Like, wait till you've been around a couple of, 1,000 years and then let's talk.
Sure.
But that comparison, like, it just feels like the more that we read about this ancient old religion and learn about it and learn how much Christianity stole from it, or borrowed from it, or took from it, or evolved from, whatever the fuck words you want to use.
Yeah.
The more worthless and silly Christianity seems, just on the basis of its lack of age and its lack of originality.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. So, do you have anything else for us today?
That was it. Sorry, right. I had to ramble a little.
You're fine. I'm glad we kind of continued that conversation, actually.
Yeah.
So, that was Ezekiel Chapter 20.
It sure as fuck was.
And this weekend is going to be a little different. We're not going to end up doing a book club or anything, because we last weekend kind of started this off on the mess up because it was Memorial Day weekend.
Day off.
And we took Memorial Day off. So, we're going to be doing our Q&A tomorrow, which will be Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And then we will be back on Monday with
Ezekiel Chapter 21.
All right. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my God. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep. We have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegiousdiscourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe. Leave an Apple review. Join us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.